That's a synthesizer Dave composition. On what? What is it?
This is a Siel DK80, a very unusual synth, quite rare, Italian, and quite lovely.
What's the backstory?
The backstory is I was offered it for a tenner, and it's obviously been dropped at some point. So electronically there wasn't much wrong with it, but it's the case is a bit beaten up. All these bits here have broken off, so the top is no longer attached to the bottom, and the power supply needed a bit of sorting out. But yeah, it should restore to near mint condition, and it's like I say, there's nothing much electronically wrong with it at all.
So what do you need to do to it?
Well, so far I've like I say, mainly it's mending the case. So far I've dismantled and cleaned the keyboard, which is all working now.
That usually cleaning the keyboard is about all I do with synthesizers. That doesn't actually involve taking the case off.
Well, this involved cleaning the contacts inside. It was
not dusting like what I'm talking
not
about,
dusting. No, not hoovering. Yeah, although mostly what I've done inside here at the moment is hoovering, because it was full of clag. Next job is to dismantle this bit, because you've got all these membrane switches, and some of them are getting a bit grubby and a bit. So
are they relatively straightforward to get kind of lively again? Or?
Yeah. It's basically a rubber pad with two. It's basically rubber with iron filings in it, which push against two copper plates, and that just makes the contact.
I did not know that.
And the copper plate gets tarnished over the years, so it's cotton buds and a bit of cotton buds and lighter fluid is my usual method. But yeah, that brings them back to life quite nicely. Yeah, all these bits where the screws go that hold it together are broken. My usual fix for those is to get some 2-part epoxy putty and either stick the bits back where I can, or if they're missing completely, you can then just drill it and just use it as a new connector. So yeah, that's what needs doing to it.
So this is Siel, S-I-E-L, and they're an Italian.
They're an Italian. This came out in 1985 as direct competition for to the Poly 800, and
which we had one of.
Which we had one, which I slagged off unmercifully a few weeks back. This one, this is lovely. It's so well made. It's untrue. It's got this typical all Italian synths. They have really heavy fiberglass circuit boards that just don't break. The tracks don't ever come off. Nothing ever goes wrong with the circuit boards.
Wow.
If you feel them, they're actually about 3 times as thick as what as a normal circuit board. They're fiberglass. And
so what are normal ones made out of? Just plastic? Or
plastic. A lot of early ones are actually are basically made out of cardboard. It's cardboard and resin is your standard circuit board. But these are very good.
Wow.
Yeah, the Poly 800 is basically cardboard and resin circuit boards, and that's why the tracks fall off.
Right.
And it's got this will actually work as 2 completely independent polyphonic synthesizers. You can split the keyboard at any point or overlap them anywhere you like. The oscillators, they're very common in Italian synths. It's the M112 chip, which you also find in the all the gen synths use them. They're very common in all kinds of Italian synths.
The gens are Italian as well.
Yeah. They're although they're not easy to get hold of. Some ones actually they did become unobtainable, but some ones just had a large batch made. So if you do lose an oscillator, they're not cheap, but you can get a new one for about 25 quid, which is not impossible. But they very rarely go wrong. Right. They just seem to last forever. Another nice thing about Italian synths is all the major chips, all the ones that might go wrong, are all in sockets rather than soldered in. The main operating system is on these two chips here, which you can actually reprogram using UV light.
Are you going to have to explain that? You just said something weird.
It's this kind of chip that they've actually got a little window in the top under the sticker, and you actually program them in a special little machine using UV light. It's that's how things used to work.
Okay.
And
I'm going to totally take your word for it.
So if you wanted to reprogram it, that's something I am actually going to do on this. Although I don't have the programmer, but a friend of mine has one.
Right.
So,
I'm going to stop you there again, Dave.
Yeah.
There's a UV light programming machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this difficult to find, or are they common?
No.
Right? Yeah.
No. Common. They're used by the chap I know who has one does homebrew cartridges for Game Boys and things, and they all work. They're all programmed in the same way.
So there's probably 1,000 people out there just shouting at me for being something and just being amazed by something so utterly basic.
Yeah.
Sorry, readers.
But it's it's one of its problems as original is there is a if you want to save patches to a computer, there's a slight glitch in the original MIDI system exclusive method, which someone has fixed. So I'll get those reprogrammed with the new, with the updated spec. The other thing, it's one disadvantage over the Poly 800 is whereas the Poly 800 you could store 64 of your own voices, with this you get 40 presets that you can't change and only 10 you can modify unless you had a cartridge in it, and the cartridge gives you an extra 50 programmable voices. Looking at the advertising for them, it seems that after about 3 months it was standard for them to provide it with a cartridge, because they were obviously kind of going up against the Poly 800. The thing is, another modification I'm going to make to this is the cartridge would basically just held a stick of generic memory of the time, which is the same as the stuff you got in Atari STs and things. So I'm actually going to make up a little permanent card that slots in there. So it will always have 60 programmable voices.
That'll be permanent. So will that live underneath the case?
Yes, it will live in. It will just sit in there, so that you won't need a cartridge.
Great.
Well,
hurrah for Siel.
Yeah.
Are they still going? Do we know?
No. They did make a lot of synths, a lot of different synths, from the mid-70s to kind of late 80s.
Right.
Very much for the domestic Italian market. and they built some really good stuff. In fact, the a couple of the last sequential circuits synths, the fugue and the couple of the other poly synths that they did right at the end were actually made and designed by Siel and actually sold under license by Sequential Circuits.
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah, it's I think they are absolutely lovely synths.
Great.
And if anyone has a Siel mono, I'm interested.
There you go. Yeah. And if anyone out there is interested in buying this is going to be for sale.
This would be the
maybe sold by the time we get into print.
yeah. It's I would be looking at, depending on how well the restoration goes. It will never be mint, absolutely mint condition. With the cartridge, with the original cartridge, they only fetch about 200 at most.
Right.
For this, I'd probably be looking at 125, 150. That goes depending on how well it comes out. It's yes, it has one or if you see one, make sure you get the power supply with it, because the power supply is this brick here, which is only a transformer that puts out 17 volts AC, and the rest of your power supply is actually inside there.
Right.
So that's if not, it would be your local electrician could knock you up a transformer in a box. But the other thing is it's got this weird. Whoops! No, it comes out that end. This weird 5-pin. It's like the 5 pins on a dice socket, which are not easy to find. I know, especially in my workshop, because I know I've got a box full somewhere, but I can't find them.
That's so typically the thing that when you see one of these isn't going to be with it.
Yeah. Failing that, it in actual fact the voltages inside are 5 volts and 12 volts, like a standard desktop computer. So in theory, you could just power it using a computer power supply, and you could probably get a suitable transistor out of a standard power supply.
You could,
yeah.
I wouldn't.
But yeah, it's a nice thing.
Great.
A bit quirky.
Uh-huh.
It's
Quite ugly.
quite
in
ugly.
A kind of 80s classic sort of speak and spell kind of a way.
Yeah. It's yes, I'm not quite sure what all these holes here are about. It looks like it should clamp into something, or reconfigure itself like a transformer.
Yeah. That's probably the
it's a transformer
design
look.
that was going on there.
Yeah,
it's sci-fi thing.
Yeah. Programming it is like the it's like a Poly 800. You choose your parameter number from here. It's got a standard, just like the Poly 800. It's got a chorus that is just on off, which is exactly the same as the Poly 800 chorus. It's the same chip, it's the same circuit. Somebody nicked it from somebody, but yeah. But and the other thing is you've got this rather strange thing. If you've got hold, so it will hold. But if you hold a chord, let's play a weird chord, and then press it again, so the chord one lights up. That you play becomes a chord, which is curious and fun. It's also got 2 300 note sequencers built in that are a bit complicated to access. You have to set everything up with these ones here, but it means once it's set up, you can record a sequence and then as soon as you stop, that starts playing, and the other sequence will start recording. So you can just keep on, you know, doing sequences. Again, it's not. I've not found it easy to use, but it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, if you were to give the Siel a score out of 10, what would you give it?
Oh, it's not my kind of synth. For quality of build and for what it is, 80s poly synth, I'd probably give it an 8 or 9. You know, it's that good.
Yeah.
It's well made. It's solid. It's very 80s sounding.
Yes.
It's through a decent amplifier, it sounds really nice or really cheesy, depending on the preset.